Step into the world of Float, Sizzle, and Chill, where I, Dr. Schrier, take you on a captivating healing voyage each week. Explore state-of-the-art approaches to rejuvenate your body and mind. Our mission is to bring you the finest treatments and therapies for complete healing. Hi, this is Dr. Schrier, and this is the first episode of Float, Sizzle, and Chill, a weekly podcast about health tips and how to improve your life. This is our first episode, so I'm going to be introducing myself and going through the purpose of this podcast and my personal story. The reason I created this podcast is because I wanted to pay it forward, or pay it back as a chiropractor. I want to help the world become a better place and be able to give back to our communities through different charities, different reasons, like homelessness, kids not being in good schools, hunger, and any societal problems that come up. The reason that I came up with this is because I've been a chiropractor for 12 years, and I feel like I've been pretty successful. I started my practice back in 2012, and every year after that got better and better and better. Like a lot of people, in 2020, when COVID hit, it rocked my world, along with everybody else. I'm in Florida, in Delray Beach, and in Florida, it was kind of different than a lot of places. My office didn't have to shut down. We were pretty slow at like 50% capacity. So I was like, well, if this keeps getting worse, I don't know what I'm going to do. I would tell my wife, am I going to have to take care of patients in our backyard, like on the porch or in like our spare bedroom? I was kind of freaking out. But what happened is, people from different states that felt kind of trapped, and there's, I'm not picking a side of, what was right and what was wrong, but a lot of people started moving to Florida because they wanted the freedom to be able to do whatever they wanted to do. And so my practice was still open, and I'd say about 3 months after COVID started, we started getting a wave of new patients. And it was new patient after new patient after new patient, and they were all coming from other states. So most of the new patients from 2020, 2021, probably even half of 2022 were all because of people moving from other places to Florida. So my practice, while it was stressful for the first few months and I didn't know what was going to happen, I was worried if we were, going to have a practice anymore, if, what was going to happen to society, were we all going to get wiped out? Like, I think a lot of people had all these questions, and, a lot of people did lose their jobs, which is unfortunate. A lot of people lost their lives, which is, the worst thing possible. So we went through all these, stressful things, and, I felt like I kind of made it out, relatively unscathed. I do have like a relative that passed away from COVID, unfortunately, like a lot of people, but, my practice didn't really suffer. Like even 2020, was actually a better year for us than 2019. And so every year since I started practice was getting better and better and better. And I was like, oh, this is great. Like, this is what success looks like. Like, if you think about success, most people think of like money or, having things like a house and cars. And so in that respect, like, I was successful. I had like a house and a rental property and car and a family, a kid. Everything was going great. But what the ultimate turning point was in 2022, I started adding some new services back in 2020, to help with COVID. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. If less and less people are coming, I don't know that chiropractic alone is going to allow our practice to survive. So I tried to come up with ideas, and, so I started adding things to the practice, like decompression therapy and laser and stem cell and PRP. And, they seem to all be doing really good. Like, they're getting busier and busier. I added, 2 staff, for since I started my practice till then, till 2020, it was just me and one other person. So my overhead was pretty low. But I I started adding all these services, and I started hiring these people, and we were getting busier and busier. And I was like, oh, this is great. Like, this is amazing. So I decided to, in 2022, I decided, okay, it's finally time to, move to a new space. I had been in my space for 9 years, and it was great. I loved it. The space was amazing. But it was just time for a change. And, I thought, okay, my lease is coming up. I can start looking around and, find a forever home. So I wanted to buy something. So I looked around, and the second property that I found, I fell in love with. It was, a brand new building with like 100 condos on the top, and the bottom floor was 2 commercial spaces, and they were both empty. They'd never been used. So they were both like a concrete floor. The bigger one was actually taken, so I looked at the smaller one and decided to take it. I put an offer in, signed the contract, and we're off to the races. I got an architect, a contractor, and I started building this office. I don't know if anybody out there that's ever built a house or built an office from scratch. At the beginning, it's super exciting. You're picking out flooring and colors and furniture, and every day it seems like it's really exciting. I had this vision, but what happened is over time I was not sleeping well. I was so excited. So I'm getting up at 4 a.m., running to the office 3 miles, looking around, envisioning my space, and then running home. I go to work, see patients. Now I have meetings every day at lunchtime with the architect and contractor. I come back to work, see more patients, and come home. Now it's time to help my wife with our daughter Amelia, and then it's to bed. But I'm so excited about thinking about the new office that it's hard to sleep. So for the first about 5 months of this building, I'm super excited. But then when September comes around, all of a sudden, one night I just felt burnt out. Like something happened in my brain where it felt like I couldn't feel happy anymore. I was like having anxiety, panic attacks. And if you ask anybody that knows me, I'm usually like the happiest person in the world. I'm always smiling, and I'm like, up until this point in my life, I've never had anxiety. I'm happy. But all of a sudden, I'm so anxious I can't sleep. So I'm sleeping like 1 to 2 hours a night. It's really bad. I'm having bad thoughts, not suicidal, but like I can see if somebody felt like this for years and years, how you'd think, how can I feel like this forever? Like, I'm not even gonna make it. I got so stressed out that my practice was doing better than ever, but in my mind, I thought I only had a couple months left in practice because of the anxiety, I wouldn't be able to practice, and then I was going to lose everything. So I would calculate how many months can I survive if I'm like so disabled from anxiety that I can't work. Can I, what if it's like 6 months or 5 months? I'm like, what if I am losing like tens of thousands of dollars every month because I can't work because of anxiety? I'm going to go out of business in like 3 months. And like every month in practice was great, but my mind, I couldn't convince myself, and none of my friends or family could convince me that this wasn't going to happen. This went on for about 3 months until I was about to move in the new office in January 2023. The day before that I was going to move into the office, I was so panicked. I thought that I helped build the rooms for the office. I thought they were going to be too small, and that the patients were going to hate the new office, and that everything was going to go to shit that first day. But I got in the office, and the world didn't end. I still had the anxiety, but I had survived the first day. I have a neighbor named Josh, who's a good friend, and he has a sauna, a traditional sauna at his house that I'm in right now, actually, until I build mine at my house, and a cold plunge right next to it. He would invite me over all the time, but I never really took him up on it. And he was doing this like a couple times a week. And I always thought, like, why does he do that so much? Is it good for you? So I decided one day to take him up on his offer, and I went to his house and came in this sauna and cold plunge. And for the first time in 9 months, I felt normal. It felt like a wave of endorphins like went through my brain, and I felt normal for about 8 hours while I slept. And that was like the first time I slept in months. I was like, oh my God, this is something. So Josh had told me, you can go anytime, even if I'm not here. So I took him up on that offer, and I was going like almost every day. And then I started exercising and meditating and resting, and it brought me out of that negative place to where my brain was able to see that I was not in a crisis, but that I was okay. And the reason that I bring that up is because this podcast is all about, helpful things that you can do, like sauna, cold plunge, floating, and a lot of other modalities that people have seen but don't really know the benefits of and what they can do for their health. So I'm on a mission now, not only to change your health, but also to help the world. So every time that we do a podcast every week, I'm going to raffle off a prize, a cash prize, to the audience. One person a week. And they can decide to keep it. They can give it to a charity, which they'll tell us which one, and we'll write it in their name. Or they could pay it forward or pay it back to the next week, and then it'll double. We're also going to have a charity with the guests that if they can survive in the sauna for 20 minutes and do the cold plunge for 3 minutes, then they also get a prize for their charity of choice. So it's all about giving back. Because what I learned from this whole experience was the reason why I got anxious was because I was just holding on to everything. I thought that because I was helping people feel better, that I deserved to keep everything. And I wasn't really giving back to the society other than treating patients. And so I learned from a group that I became a part of, Black Diamond Club, recently. They do business coaching and podcasts and things. They go over these principles about life, and that's one of them, is that you have to give back. And when you give it back, then you receive more. And you give it back again, and you receive more. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what this whole podcast is about. So not only are we going to be giving to charities, but we're going to start some businesses and charities ourselves to give back to different communities, like homeless communities that don't have enough food, don't have the right schools. How many times have you met somebody that had all the money in the world but was miserable? The reason is because they're not giving back. They're just holding it on because they're scared that they're going to lose it. So it's all about giving back. And my goal is that you start to give back too if you have enough. You can just pay it back to the next person and do it over and over and over again. And so it's not only, my community, but it's your community and then the whole world. And if everybody's doing these things, like giving back, doing sauna, cold plunge, flotation therapy, that the whole world will be better. I'm looking forward to going this journey with you. I'm excited about this first episode. I know that they're going to get better and better because I'm not used to being on a camera this long. But let's go in the plunge now. Hi, this is Dr. Schrier again. And what we're going to be doing every week is I'm going to be interviewing local people in my community that I know that I'm going to be asking them about their health routines. But I'm also going to be interviewing professional athletes and international stars that you know on a weekly basis. We're going to be giving away thousands of dollars in prizes to individuals and to charities. And we also have new charities and businesses that are going to be connected to this podcast that are going to give away to different organizations and needs that we're creating, like homelessness and hunger and a lot of good other stuff. So stay tuned and looking forward to it. Whew. Challenge each week is going to be 20 minutes in the sauna and 3 minutes in the cold plunge. And if the guests can do that, then they'll get money towards the charity of their choice. Whew, it's cold. Many people do cold plunges and sauna and feel good, but they don't know why, or they don't know the science behind it, or they think it looks cool on Instagram or TikTok. But there's a lot of research and science behind it, and it's been being done for thousands of years. This is going to help improve our societies, and we're going to pay it back and help our world. Got a little bit more time left. Whew. Chilly. Who's going to try it with me? Woo! How much longer?
You got 1 minute 15 so far.
So far? It's at 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Woo! I think the coldest I've done it so far is 49 degrees for 3 minutes. Thanks, Josh. Woo!
1 minute 35.
All right, so one of the things that I learned recently, how I learned about the research, is through a book called The Comfort Crisis that Josh introduced me to. It talks all about the sauna and the cold plunge, but it also talks about why you feel better after doing it. It's kind of like when you feel better after going a long walk or going in nature. It's because when you do hard things, it pushes your brain past its limit, or what it thinks it can do, and then you can do and go further than you've done before. And if you do that over and over and over again, then you could do anything. How much longer?
2 minutes, 20 seconds.
Oh, jeez. Hands is the hardest part. This is very safe. Ask your doctor before doing this so I don't get in trouble. Think I'm gonna make it. How much longer?
2 minutes, 45 seconds. You have 15 seconds left. 10. 9.
We appreciate you floating, sizzling, and chilling with us today on this episode. To stay connected, consider showing your support by following, sharing, and awarding us a sizzling 5-star review on platforms like Apple or Spotify. Remember, you can participate in our weekly $1,000 raffle by submitting a review to Apple or Spotify and leaving a comment on the current YouTube episode. Check the episode description for instructions. You can reach us at www.drelan.com, DRELAN. Drop an email at info@drelan.com. Stay happy, healthy, and abundant.